Okay, everybody, today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that'll be trigger points. I think a lot of us are more familiar with triggers or being triggered than we are with trigger points. However, they kind of have a similar concept going on. So before I break down trigger points, I'm going to go into what we're more familiar with, which is triggers or being triggered. The way that I'm going to break that down today will be with two songs. You thought I was about to sing to you? The two songs that I will be using today are going to be Jhené Aiko's Triggered and Usher's You Remind Me. Shout out to all y'all who recognize those songs. We friends now. And if we were already friends, then I'm rocking with you. And if I was already rocking with you, then this just explains more why I'm rocking with you. Let's start with Triggered. For those of us who are unfamiliar, Triggered is about some guy that Jhené had some sort of a relationship with. It all went south, and now she's expressing all of these like pent up emotions and responses that she has based off of this guy. I'm about to go crazy. I'm about to go crazy. I swear, I'm going crazy. You know what? No, let me just lie down. I'm gonna lie down. It'll be all good. You know what? No, bump that. I'm way too mad for this. I'm big mad, bro. I can't. Nah. You know what? Where you at? Let me just call this one. Hey, you know what? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right here. Don't you know that I will burn it all down right now? No, because what you did to me, I might have to pay you back in blood. You don't believe me? You don't believe me, bro? Best believe. Cases, bro, I'm catching them. I'm catching these, bro. Try me. Yeah, anyway, like, call me back. And, like, you trying to hit? And then there's Usher's You Remind Me, where he is expressing to some girl that he cannot be with her because he was with some other girl that didn't go too well. Wow, you look so good. Nice smile. Nice little innocent demeanor too. I like that, you know?
Thank you.
It's crazy because that's kind of reminding me of somebody.
I really appreciate that.
Now that I think about it, you actually look a lot like her too.
Who?
And you know what? I gotta go. I can't do this. Why? Cause like you don't know. Like she was on her creep, bro. Like you would have thought she was T-Boz, Left Eye, and Chili. That's how much she was creeping.
Who?
Yep.
Who?
Everybody played the field except for me, and I thought she was the one for me. But nah, every time I got on the field, flag on the play. Illegal man. Yeah, so nah, it's all right. I gotta go. This ain't gonna work. Baby, I'm sorry, I gotta let you go. No. So why did I use these two songs? Well, in the case of Jhené, all she needed to do was see the guy's face or even hear his name before she had all those responses that we just went over. In the case of Usher, his response was directly attributed to someone else in the past that had nothing to do with the current woman that he was with at the time. So there's a similar concept here when explaining how trigger points work. Trigger points are points within the body that are usually found in hypertonic muscles that, when pressed, create a response that is disproportionate to the amount of pressure that's being applied. So, you know, you can press somewhere in here and you might not really feel much of that pressure at all, but then you could press up here and then you feel like a really intense response. And for anyone who may have tried to test that on themselves, you may have found that there was some intense feeling in there and it may have traveled to other areas as well. Don't worry, we'll get there. But for now, let's talk about what causes trigger points. Trigger points can be caused by a wide variety of things, and this includes acute traumas, so like a car accident, a bad fall, a fight, chronic overload like repetitive movements, poor posture, structural discrepancies, even nutritional. So if you have high sugar in your diet, high caffeine in your diet, you're skipping meals, you have food insensitivities, low vitamin levels, that also can lead to trigger points, as well as the development of like social stressors, occupational stressors, and even psychological factors like fear, depression, anxiety, and just ultimately feeling like you're out of control. And these are all things that are usually built up over the span of a few years, which makes sense. If you haven't watched my video on symptoms and conditions, go ahead and tap into that one time. Now that we have discussed what causes trigger points, let's talk more about what they feel like. And we can kind of put these in two different categories. These will be your local local versus your active trigger points. So let's not forget that any trigger point will elicit a response that seems disproportionate to the amount of pressure that's being applied to that area. However, when it comes to local trigger points, that disproportionate like feeling or pain is only in that area that's being pressed. In an active trigger point, that can then go to other areas of your body when that one spot is pressed. This means that trigger points can feel like a variety of different things, such as tennis elbow, TMJ, frozen shoulder, restricted range of motion, dizziness, blurred vision, whiplash. The list goes on. I'm gonna map out some of these trigger points for you and tell you just what they can feel like, just so you get a better sense of what this is. So if I do a quick little muscle test here, you'll see this little like muscle popping up here, and that goes all the way up here. Trigger points in this muscle can lead to referred pain in the front of the head, the ears, and lead to dizziness. Then you have your quadratus lumborum, and that's a muscle here that you can feel in the low back. When that has active trigger points in there, it can actually lead to a misdiagnosis of SI joint dysfunction. Then you have your pec major here, and when there's trigger points in there, it can actually mimic heart pain. Then you have your internal obliques, and when those have active trigger points, it can produce feelings like heartburn, belching, and diarrhea. And then you have your psoas. Not to be confused with your psoas, although a tight psoas can lead to a psoas. I can actually do a whole video on the psoas itself. I could also do a whole video on the psoas. Anyway, the psoas that I'm talking about is found deep in the hip and the belly. And when those have active trigger points in there, it can actually cause or mimic appendicitis. Here is the good news about trigger points. They are reversible. However, and this is no shade to any medical profession out there, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Trigger points, however, are not showing up. They do not show up in x-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, etc. Massage therapists, however, we do that all day. We identify and we release trigger points on a daily. And look, this isn't me saying you don't have a larger issue going on, like you don't actually have appendicitis, you don't actually have SI joint dysfunction. I'm not saying that. You could have those things. You could also just have trigger points, and it's important to always see your doctor to know, but also, get massages as well and talk about things like this because it could be released just from that trigger point. Hope this helps, guys. Feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, follow, share, all of that, please. Appreciate y'all so much for rocking with me. We'll keep it coming.